Alright, hello everybody. This is episode 2 of the Roblox scripting tutorial. Today we will be learning the basics of how to use Lua U, which is Roblox's primary coding language. So, first thing you're going to want to do is head over to your server script service and create a script. First thing you're going to start out with is a print hello world. What this does is when you click play, it's going to say hello world in the output. So, what can we do with this? Well, first we can make it say whatever we want by changing any of the text in between these two quotes. If we want to say, hello there, we can have it do that. You just click run, and there you go, it says hello there. So, before we do anything with this, you just gotta understand how this works. So, print is a function. The name of the function is print. The way you call it is you type in print, or otherwise the name of the function, brackets, and then any parameters that needs to be filled out inside. In this case, it's going to be either a string or a number. So how can we utilize this? Well, first thing we're going to need to know is how to set up a variable. The way you initialize a variable is you type in local, and then the name of the variable. For our case, it's going to be var1. Then you'll type equals, and whatever you want this variable to equal. We're going to start with just saying this is my first variable. Then you'll type, and then the way you can use this variable is you can type in print var1 or whatever the name of your variable is. You click run. This is my variable. Woohoo! Alright. This can also be a number. We're going to be using this a lot more because there's a lot more you can do with the number than you can with the string. We're going to do 5. What this will do now is it'll just print 5. So what can we do with this variable? Well, you can do basically anything with it. You can reset it, you can add, multiply, divide, subtract, sorry, I almost missed one. But you can also run any of the math statements. So let's try that. Let's do var1 var1 will be equal to, so we're going to reset the variable 1 to var1 plus 1. This will make it equal to 6. There we go. We can also multiply it by 2. This will give us 10. We can also divide by let's divide it by 2 again. This will give us 2.5. Alright, but what if we had a second variable? Well, in this case, we have var1, var2. var1 is equal to 5. var2 is equal to 8. If we add them together, we will get 13. What if we want to have a third variable, var3? I want this to be equal to var1 times 2 plus var2 plus 1. Let's have that make sure it prints out var3. And what do you think we will get? Well, take var1, which is 5, multiply it by 2, that gives us 10. Add var2, which is 8, so that gives us 18. Then add 1, that will give us 19. There you go, 19. So there's not really too much you can do. You can do a lot of this is basically just like a calculator right now. But what if we want to go past the state of a calculator? Well, let me introduce you to the if statement. The way you start an if statement is you do if your condition, then end. So what this will do is if this condition is met, then it will run all the code in between the if statement and the end. So what is a condition? A condition is any statement that leads to a true or false value. A good example is var1 greater than var2? If so, we are going to print var1 is bigger. If we let this run, well, we're not going to get anything. That's because this condition is not true. var1 is not greater than var2. But let's make var1, let's say 12. Well, var1 is bigger than var2, so var1 is bigger. Let's add a bit more into it. Let's create a local var3. Let's not have it equal to anything. And we will say if var1 is greater than var2, then we will make var3 equal to var2 times 2. So what do you think var3 will be? Will var3 be nothing? Will var3 be 16? Well, let's see. It's going to be 16. That is because var1 is greater than var2. Let's make it a bit more complicated and put y'all to the test. Alright, here's your test. What is var1, var2, and var3 after this code runs? We will get 4, 12, and 16. So why do we get this answer? Well, let's start with var1. So var1 is now going to be equal to 12, var2 is 8, var3 is nothing. Alright, if var1 is greater than var2, well, that's true. So var3 is now going to be equal to 16, which is var2 times 2. So var3 is now equal to 16 after this if statement. Alright, var3, which is 16, is greater than var1. Well, var1's 12, var3's 16, meaning this is true. So now, var1 is going to end up equaling var3 minus var1, which is 4. And then here's the final statement. I threw in a little trick here with this else. So, is var1 greater than var2? Well, var1 is 4, var2 is 8. That means 4 is not greater than 8, meaning we will not run this. But we will run the else because this happens if this is false. So this will be var2 is equal to var1 plus var2, which is 8 plus 4, so 12. That gives us our 4, 12, and 16. Alright, great job. Alright, this is the last thing I'm going to show you. This is so that you have some stuff to do in the meantime until episode 3 comes out, which I promise you will not be 2 years. So, I'm going to introduce you to the math functions. The math functions contain all other types of math you want to do in this engine. You have a huge list of them, but we're going to right now focus on the random function. So if you type in math.random and then your brackets, it will then ask for two numbers, m and n. What this will do is this function will return a random number within the range provided. So let's say 0 and 10. We're going to set this equal to a var1. And then we're going to print it, var1. Let's see what we get. We get 9. Okay, cool. Will we always get 9? No, we won't. This time we got 0. What this is going to do is it is going to give you a random number in range of these two numbers that you pass in. Alright, great job. This has been a really good episode. You now know how to use variables and the print statement. But right now, we cannot take in any input from the user. Alright, that just about wraps up everything we need to learn. You now have a way of creating very simple programs, except we do have a problem. You do not know how to take input or use code to explore in the Explorer. Next episode, I will make sure to cover that. And then we'll finally be able to create our very first program. Alright, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and go join my Discord. If you got any questions, I will be on there ready to answer. Alright, see you next episode.